Hi guys, welcome back to the check-in. Today I'm going to talk about, well, not really giving a fuck, really, to put it in a rather crude and expletive way. That's even the right word. There becomes a point in one's life where you kind of just you just know that things are getting on top of you and things are just not working. And one of the ways that you can tell whether it's the right time to change or move on or whatever is just by how, well, really how you react to things. If everything is becoming too much, exaggerated, and your responses to those things are becoming way out of proportion, it's either that you're personally going through some shit, or or you might be just fed up of everything. You know? Everything around you is just, whatever, shit for you personally, and you just don't want to be in it anymore. You'll find yourself snapping a lot, getting very moody, temperamental, aggressive, irritable, bored, you name it. And I can tell you all this because I've gone through it all so many times. It's unbelievable. You have to excuse me, I'm trying to eat this yogurt here. Yogurt. There's a lot of shit in life that is completely irrelevant, and you've got to be able to work that out. There's a lot of people in life that are irrelevant when have absolutely no meaning to their lives, and as a result of this, they'll try and drag you down to theirs, to their level of meaningless existence. Believe me, I've had it. And I've also done it. I've been on both sides of the coin. I've dragged people down, although for me, the difference is that in many cases, I didn't deliberately do it. Whereas other people do. And I've been on the receiving end of people that wanted to drag me down to their level. For all sorts of different reasons. You know, the thing is, from the day, the truth of it is that from the day that you're born to the day you die, it's just jumping through hoops of deception and lies and manipulation. That's what I see life is. And I'm not, there's a lot of wonderful, fantastic reasons to stay alive, and to put all of that crap, to use, basically. And that's one of the things I respect about comedians and artists, is that they put their, in some cases, misery and depression and realistic outlook on life into creative ways, through using, through jokes, through the medium of music or art, poetry, whatever it is, theatre, movies, the YouTube now as well has sort of become a platform for creative art and stuff, with things like like gaming channels and kind of what PewDiePie was doing originally, Although I'm not so exactly sure that was his reasons for doing so was because of mental health. But I know he has suffered from things like that, which is fairly obvious if you've watched anything fairly recent of his. But also things like watching stuff like just people like setting up their own podcasts and setting up things that a creative outlet that can sort of block out temporarily. The sort of the finer focus of the world around us, I guess, in some ways, but not blocking it out, but using it in a way that's useful to others, rather than just simply criticizing, whinging, moaning, and bitching about everything, as I tend to do, which is kind of I don't necessarily intend to do that, but that I'm sure that's how I know that that's how it comes across to a lot of people, not everybody, but a fair amount, more than enough. And this became obvious. This has become obvious a couple of times through social media, especially through Facebook. Mainly actually through Facebook, with people telling me to put a damper on, to put a halt on the negativity posts and just the things that disturb their stubborn, very rigid but fragile structure of the world. I'm sorry, but if you're easily offended, then that's not my problem. I'm just being who I am, and I'm going to express the way I see things and the way I think in whatever ways I want. If people don't like that, then that's tough. But as far as social media goes, I couldn't give a fuck, quite frankly. I'm sorry to be rude, but I really couldn't care less. If you don't like things I have to say on my fucking channel, tough shit. At the end of the day, it's my channel, and I will post whatever I want, say whatever I want until I get banned. If people can't accept that that's my right to express the things, regardless of whether it's offensive to you or puts a damper on your day, I really don't care, because I don't sit there criticizing other people's posts even if I don't agree with them or don't like them, because I respect that other people have a right to their opinions and thoughts. At some point in life, you will get to a stage where you've had enough of people walking all over you because you've let them, and you just have to get to a stage in yourself where you're confident in the things that you believe in, the things that you stand by, the values and principles that you hold, and you've got to stand by them. If you firmly believe that those things are if that's who you believe you are, and that's what you want to represent yourself as, then you've got to be prepared to stand by those things. And if that means losing friends or so-called friends in the process, then so be it. They're not really friends, in my opinion, because friendships, relationships, even family relationships, are not about a persistent level of agreement between people. It's not about that. That's not what social media is supposed to be about either. It's not supposed to be about just a safe platform of, everybody, this sort of large echo chamber, or just everybody is on the same level. That's not how progress is made. If real progress, in my opinion, is made through disagreements, debates, and coming to agreement on how to so even if it means agreeing to disagree, or disagreeing to agree on something, the problem is people think that their entire inner workings, the way in which they think about things, and the thoughts that the conclusions that they've come to about them, about anything and everything is right a lot of the time. It's just like, well, you might be, if you can back that up, if you can prove that that is the case, or give me a good enough reason for it, then I might be, you might persuade me to think along the same lines that you do. But until then, I'll remain open, and I'm not prepared to just completely wash away my own. If I genuinely believe what I believe is right, and I've got ways to back that things up, then I'm gonna keep those things close to me. But there's a difference between being confident and competent in what you are as a person, and the things that you stand by. But at the same time being willing to, be allowed to be criticized, and remain open to skepticism and whatever analysis. And then there's a difference between that and then the people that genuinely believe, and without any evidence or anything to back up, to justify what the thoughts that they have, or ideas or whatever, and they're just unwilling to budge on those things. They're just just in a permanent state of stubbornness. It's people like that you've got to get rid of out of your life, I think. I mean, you could try and change people, and sometimes it works, but I'd say overall it doesn't. And at the end of the day, you can waste a lot of time and energy and effort into doing that. And I personally, I don't think it's worth it. It's not your job. It's not my job to. I mean, unless you're a professor or something, you're teaching a bunch of undergraduates or graduates, about, on an intellectual level, where it's your job not to force people to think differently, but to present new concepts, new ways of approaching things. That's a completely different ballgame. But especially with regards to social media, it's not. I'm not there to. I don't get paid to comment and analyze everybody's as opinions, but I still to some extent feel obligated to comment, and at the very least, it's my page, okay, and as long as I'm following the guidelines of the actual platform, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Telegram, or whatever it is that's out there now, it doesn't matter. If Facebook deems something of mine offensive, then I'll challenge that, and we'll see where that goes. But just because you shout out the offensive word, or you believe that you are offended, doesn't give you the right to weaken somebody else's ability, or even to censor somebody else's ability to share their views, no matter how much dislike you have for that person or their opinions. So it's just, people like Orwell, he was really onto something, and if you look back to the Rivers of Blood speech, I think it was in the 60s, I believe, I want to say. If you look at that speech, you can sort of see the direction in which the country was heading towards, and I think that's all been on a sort of fast cycle. Sort of an orbit like system that's been going around, and every so often it's going off it, and then going back on again. But I think we've completely gone off the orbit now. We've completely gone off the orbit of rationality and ability to, take an unbiased approach to things without getting completely without attaching our emotions to those things. But yeah, it's you just have to decide at the end of the day. You have to decide who's worth your time and who isn't. As simple as that sounds, but it's true. Nobody has the right to tell you what you can and can't say, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's a difference between debating things like what might constitute racism or hate speech, and then actually calling for the the mass genocide of an entire race or something. I think we can say it to some extent what is probably not a very wise thing to say, a very nice thing to say. But then again, the problem with social media, of course, unless it's on voicemail, a voice message or something, but even then it's not always easy to understand, is things like sarcasm, and tone. And this is something that we have to bear in mind when we're reading people's comments and stuff, is the body language aspects of people's responses and stuff is completely, the context and whatever. People don't take things into consideration a lot of the time. They just act. They react just based on habit and the most easiest way to do something. The most, even if it's the most irrational response, that's people. But people have said to me a lot of the time in life that I've had a bad attitude about everything and myself, and I'm just too negative about the world. Well, my response is this, and it's sort of a cliched one, but it's true. When you have walked, if you have walked in my shoes and lived the life I've lived, and experienced the things I've experienced, and dealt with the things I've dealt with internally and externally, then you could understand better where I come from, and the way I think, the way I don't think. Now, I'm not saying that that doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. Of course you can, but ultimately you're not really going to fully, unless you've, of course, been through a lot of things I've been through as well. And so what I'm saying is, everyone has a right to. Everybody has a right to an opinion, and to express their views, no matter how offensive somebody deems them to be, or controversial, whatever. It's. I'm not stopping anybody else from saying what there's a lot of things I read and I disagree with, and I personally don't like. I won't say I find them offensive as such, but I don't particularly like. But I would never ever. I don't think I've ever blocked anybody or tried to. Report something said as hate speech or highly offensive to anybody or anything. I don't think I've ever done that. But there's a lot of things I have in the past felt that to me were offensive, but I didn't shut them down. I didn't try to repress their ability to freely write or type whatever they wanted. It's insane. And I think that's the thing. People have just lost their minds. People have absolutely lost their fucking minds in this digital age. They've let technology override their ability to think in a logical pattern. Instead, it's become technology has overridden that, and it's been replaced with emotion because of the lack of emotional ability with that technology overdrives emotions and stuff. So in aspect, the emotional capacity has become more enhanced, I think, and of course everybody wants to be heard and seen, but at the end of the day, you've got to. I am who I am, I think, and if people don't like that, then you have a right to not like me, but you don't have, you can dislike me or dislike the things I say or do as much as you want. I don't give a fuck. I honestly do not care. But what I do care about is your aggressive, childlike tactics in trying to suppress and stop people, but just simply because you don't like them. It's not about, you don't, you know, a lot of time you hear about Donald Trump a lot on the media so much, and I'm not saying I personally like the guy that much, because I don't really know that much about him, but from the things I have heard him from what I have heard him talk about, I think he's got some good ideas. I think he genuinely believes that America has potential and he's trying to reach it. I'm not necessarily agree with everything that he said, because I think he said some pretty distasteful things, but I think he's probably one of the better presidents in the last couple of decades that America's had, especially when you compare him to George W. Bush, for fuck's sake, and certainly Bill Clinton. But again, you know, I don't know everything about the guy, and I certainly don't know everything about the other two, but I know that the other two had pretty bad reputations and did some pretty shitty things whilst in office. Certainly Bush, probably more so than Clinton, but you know, people can have an opinion or whatever, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because Donald Trump is the president. You know, that's tough. That's tough. That's just things. That's something you've got to accept. And if you don't like it, well, it's tough. Why don't you run for office then? Why don't you run for presidency? If you think you can do better, or if you think you're morally superior to him, then why don't you run then? You know, a lot of the time people just like to be heard. That's all it is. It's people let their egos override everything else that makes you a human being. You know, arrogance only gets you so far, and it certainly doesn't get you respect. I've removed people from my Facebook, not because of anything not because of what they said, but because of how much time wasting they cause me, and just because of the fact that it just feels completely pointless to carry on these conversations with these people when you're trying to be, you know. Just yesterday, I took somebody off my Facebook because she felt like I was being clever. Well, I'm certainly not trying to be dumb, but I certainly wasn't trying to be clever. What I was trying to do is respond to her stupid, completely ill-thought-out comment to a post that I had made in a way that was honest and was direct. I wasn't rude about it. And you know, I just said, you know, this is my page, and I will post to it as I see fit. How about that? You know, it's just like, well, yeah, and I just on reflection on it, well, I think that's the right response. I've never ever told anybody on their profile, what they can and can't say, or what they shouldn't or shouldn't say, should or shouldn't say, or can and can't say. It's not my place to do that. It's not my right to tell you what you, on your own platform. Okay, yes, it belongs to Facebook, but still, you have been given a right to have a page, to post as you see fit. You know, and that's what I do. And people can sit there all day long spouting off, oh, it's negative this, it's negative that. It's not. Yeah, it's not perhaps the most positive of stuff, and I don't post a lot of positive stuff because I don't think that's inspiring stuff to post. I post what people call negative posts because it's because I'm being completely honest and open about how I'm feeling, and I'm just trying to express it. And because I'd like, maybe somebody could. Why is it my job? Why is it my role to be positive? Why have I been given? Why am I obligated to be positive? It's my Facebook page. Nobody's obligated to post anything positive or negative. They can post whatever they want within the guidelines, like I've said, within the guidelines of what Facebook has laid out for everybody to have a page. I don't think I've ever broke any guidelines, as far as I can tell. So until then, you don't have a right to criticize me unless I've done something wrong. And if it's just a case of you just criticizing me simply because it's uncomfortable for you to read, or it's putting a damper on your day, well, fuck off then. Simple. Fuck off. Unfriend me. Block me. That's it. It's all you have to do. Don't waste your breath, running your mouth and posting comments that have absolutely no content to them, or any depth, or anything that adds to the conversation, or anything that could perhaps change my mind to be positive, because it's a waste of time. Don't bother. Just go. Just find the clique of the social circle that fits for you. That's what I've done in the past. And where I'm at now, I don't have any of those people in my life anymore. So I'm more of a loner, and I'm happy. I'm happy in who I am. I'm happy to be myself, which I think says a lot about people that feel the need to try to twist people's minds and tell them what they can and can't say, or try to mold them into something that they feel that they are. You can be whatever you want within the law. So I haven't got a bad attitude because of negativity. I've got an attitude because I'm just content with myself. I'm happy in who I am. I'm confident in the things I talk about, but I'm willing to be criticized. It's like I've never turned off comments on any post because I'm scared of somebody's opinion might challenge the way I view things. Not at all. I'm open to people's ideas and comments. But if people are just going to waste my time with stupid comments like, well, that's a negative post. Do you ever have anything positive to say? I mean, what sort of a comment is? What does that even add? There's no substance to it whatsoever. So just don't bother. If that's all you've got to, if that is the level of intellect you have to offer, then just don't bother. It's a complete waste of your and my time. It's important to have an attitude, a fuck you attitude, I don't give a fuck attitude in life. Trust me. As George Carlin, I think it was who said it. It will get you a lot. It will take you a long way in life. It will get you a long way, or something like that. It's important to not give a fuck. It's true. Because there's a lot of things you have to give a fuck about in life. But there's a lot of people you don't have to give a fuck about. And it's those people I don't give a fuck about. Anyway, that's enough for this video. Thanks for checking in with me, guys, today. Let's check out, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.